Hi, Smart News. Welcome to the second day of June. We're going to take a quick trip around the world because we could all use a little bit more travel, can't we? We're going to hit places like China, Iran, Israel, the largest meat producer in the world, which is based in Brazil. That story is impacting us here at home. So let's get started. First to China, a major change by the Communist Party this weekend announcing families will be able to have 3 children. This is important not only as a social issue, but one that has to go to the core of the survivability of the nation, and I'll explain. China is the most populated country in the entire world. It has 1.4 billion people. That is more than 4 times the size of the United States. And the Communist Party infamously had this one-child policy where families could only have one child. And the reason for that was there was a concern about overpopulation and how that would affect a growing economy. Now China has one of the most powerful economies in the world, and there's the opposite concern about whether or not they can sustain this powerful economy with dropping birth rates and an aging population. Foreign policy expert Gordon Chang just did an interview with us and raised this as a major issue. And so it's interesting to see this announcement come out by the Communist Party after recent census data showed the dropping birth rates. Some inside China have said, listen, that's fine that the Communist Party is allowing us to have more children, but we're concerned about our quality of life and maybe are not interested in having more kids. Others are sharing some relief, including one mother who told the New York Times that she's happy because she hid her 3rd child for 2 years because of fear of punishment and said, finally, my child can come outside and play in the open. So this is an important story to flag because of the shift to policy, but also because it's public recognition by the Communist Party that this is an issue for China, a major issue for China. And you have to remember the Communist Party really controls almost every aspect of your life if you live inside China. And one of the questions has always been, will the people ever rise up and cause a shift in power in this powerful nation on the planet? It's always a question we're asking and another reason to watch this story. One other story out of China, just want to put on your radar, a man there contracted the first known case of a variant of the bird flu that we haven't seen before. China announced this just over the last several days. This is more than a month after the case was identified and the man was hospitalized. Chinese officials say the chance of spread is low. I know this is all sounding very familiar based on the coronavirus pandemic, but this is just the information we have at this time, so we'll keep an eye on it. Next, I want to take you to Iran. Iran is a state sponsor of terrorism as designated by the United States of America. We've talked about Iran recently and their activities in the region because of the conflict between Israelis and Palestinians, specifically in Gaza. Gaza is run by a terrorist group called Hamas, commonly thought to be supported by Iran. So just connecting the dots on this. One of Iran's largest and most significant naval ships caught fire and sank, according to state media. How this all happened, no one really knows. We don't have a lot of details on this, but this is a blow to Iran's military operations for sure. The explosion happened near a very critical waterway we've talked about before called the Strait of Hormuz. This is a major waterway for the world's oil supply and for transportation and commerce. And there's been a series of mysterious explosions in this area over the last several years. And at times, the United States has actually blamed Iran for those explosions. When anything mysterious happens with Iran, there are those that raise questions about Israel's involvement because Israel is very public about their concern that Iran is moving towards a nuclear weapon and will target the Jewish state. We don't have the particulars of this fire. We don't know if it was an accident or whether or not the ship was targeted, but we do have news out of Israel today. Israel actually has a new president. His name is Isaac Herzog. He's from a prominent Israeli family that some liken to the Kennedys. Now, he is not the prime minister. The prime minister remains Benjamin Netanyahu, and the prime minister in Israel is still the most important political figure. Finally, this story has real-world impact because it involves the largest meat producer in the entire world that's based in Brazil. And although the company is based in Brazil, it has operations all over the place, including in the United States. And some estimate if the operations in the United States were disrupted for 24 hours, we would lose a quarter of all beef production in America. So the potential for supply disruption is huge. A cyber attack has impacted this company's operations. We don't have all the details, but reportedly the company alerted the White House that a Russian criminal organization was behind this. There seems to be some reference to ransomware, but we don't really know yet. This is raising red flags, of course, because of the ransomware attack on the Colonial Pipeline that just occurred. So the FBI is involved, and this is a developing story. Free beer on the 4th of July in exchange for a COVID-19 vaccine. This is part of a program that the White House is announcing as I'm recording this video to incentivize Americans to get vaccinated before the July 4th holiday. I'll have more on all of that on our website. I'm curious, would a beer do it for you? How thirsty are you? Let me know. Questions and comments, I always welcome all of those and always more on smarternews.com.